Hello everyone. In the earlier session we saw how gender division of labor and gender expectations lead to gender discrimination and how that affects the personality of an individual in the workplace. Gender discrimination can also lead to productivity hurdles. We will see about it in this session. The types of discrimination are overt discrimination, which is very direct, open, and often intentional. It can also be covert discrimination, which is very subtle and often unintentional. And subtle discrimination could be sometimes worse than direct discrimination. And subtle discrimination is often unintentional, and it can also be conscious and intentional out of bias. For example, people may be ignored or excluded from team tasks, and it shows up in body language, speech, and other small behaviors. It is very difficult to detect, address, and find a solution. There is no explicit violation of social norms and expectations, so nobody can blame any other person for being unconsciously biased or showing subtle discrimination. There are many negative consequences of this. Subtle discrimination have powerful influence on the work environment. It undermines the organizational functioning. It threatens the employee well-being, both mental and emotional health of an employee, and it makes workplace hellish for certain people. And to overcome these negative consequences, all the stakeholders should take effort, and they are responsible for addressing and remediating it. And thinking of who are all the stakeholders for this, we have the perpetrator, that is the one who practices subtle discrimination. We have the targets, that is the victim of subtle discrimination. We have the bystanders, who are merely witnesses. And we have the allies, that is those who are supporters. Considering the role of perpetrators in the workplace, these people practice subtle discrimination in the workplace, and they believe they are egalitarian with good intentions, but they are unaware of the fact that they are discriminating. And subtle discrimination can even become illegal. So the remedy for this is the perpetrator should be aware of their role as perpetrators, and they must be motivated to work hard to reduce it. And employee well-being is very essential for productivity. Considering the role of the targets, that is the victims of subtle discrimination, we find that subtle discrimination may start even with the hiring process. Even in the recruitment, during face-to-face interviews, interviewers may keep more physical distance and have a shorter interview with people whom they discriminate, and the remedy can be only your positivity. And you can say things like, I am really excited about the possibility of working here, smile often, and appear pleasant, so that any negativity on the part of the perpetrator might be overcome by the target. The role of the bystanders, we have already seen that they are witnesses to an action and they don't take any action based on that. For example, during an accident, some may rush to help the victims, whereas others might just stand and watch. So bystanders are those kind of people. They avoid expressing prejudice, but while witnessing subtle discrimination, they invoke emotional discomfort and distress, and they trigger negative feelings about the organization. So it is very essential that the bystanders should not have the guilt feeling while witnessing such kind of subtle discrimination, and they should also not have any negative feelings about the organization. So the remedy can be bystanders have to fight injustice by turning allies, supporters, and there are some people who are allies, who are supporters, and any oppression they cannot tolerate, they immediately plunge into action. They act with and for others to end oppression. They express as little prejudice as possible, and they address social inequality and promote social justice as well. They take action, and they can be from dominant group or stigmatized group. So we normally believe that only people who belong to the dominant group become supporters. It can also be from the other marginalized group. And this will result in gender equity. We have already seen the difference between equality and equity. Equality is providing everyone opportunities equally, whereas equity is providing opportunities based on their needs. Fairness and justice in the distribution of benefits and responsibilities is gender equity, and it recognizes that all genders have different needs and power, and it identifies the differences and rectifies the imbalance between sexes based on their needs, and it makes special provisions for the powerless. Gender equity is essential to achieve gender equality. Thank you.